capture the moments of you coming into an event, capture you engaging with attendees, capture you talking to other maybe panelists or the event host. It just helps to document the experience, and then it really helps you to connect with your audience.
You're tuned in to the Event Gems podcast, the podcast where coaches, consultants, and speakers learn how to produce transformational and profitable events. I'm your host, Natasha Wright, Chief Experience Curator at the Diamond Butterfly. Join me and other industry experts as we teach you how to maximize the power of your next brand building event. Time to drop those gems. Let's fly. Hey Trailblazers, welcome to another episode of Event Gems. Today I am super excited to welcome the behind the scenes, the real time capturing maven herself, Miss Danielle Shortt. Danielle is an experienced business professional with expertise in retail, manufacturing, fashion retail, restaurant marketing, and digital marketing. She's the founder and creator of Shorttakes, a social media concierge company that focuses on serving clients for their social media, email marketing, text messaging, and real-time content covering individuals to large events. So let's welcome Danielle to the Event Gems podcast. Hey, Danielle.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited about this conversation because I feel like this is such a service and a topic that a lot of times isn't necessarily discussed, but I feel like it has big impact, not only for our businesses, but also for events that we are working on, right? As event hosts. So I think that I am, and you are going to be excited about this conversation. So
yes,
before
absolutely.
so before we jump in, we're going to do a quick game of Insight Gems with Danielle. We're going to get to know her a little bit more, see what she likes, what her preferences are. So, Danielle, are you ready?
I'm ready, I think.
Well, we're going to see. It's not
right. Okay.
All right, so let's get into it. You rather be book smart or street smart?
Book smart.
Okay, visual learner or verbal learner?
I'm a visual learner.
Physical work or mental work?
Ooh. Mental work.
Ooh, yeah. I was like, it depends on the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mental work outweighs physical.
For sure. Predictability or excitement?
Ooh, excitement.
Mm-hmm. Underestimated or overestimated?
Underestimated.
Yeah, because you could come in with a punch right after. And the last one is massive success by accident or modest success on purpose?
Ooh. Maybe modest success on purpose.
Modest success on purpose. I think so
Yeah,
too,
that's
for
a good
sure.
one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary and they were talking about people who won the lottery or large sums of money with the lottery and how they lost it all like within a year, because it's like you haven't had the capacity or gone through the process of really cultivating that consciousness to hold that amount of money. So you just kind of blow it,
Just blowing it out here.
Exactly. But when you've gone through the process, you steadily increase your capacity to be able to hold those things. So yeah, I love it. Well, I hope you guys learned some things about Danielle. She is steadily creating a trailblazing career for herself, and I am so excited for you guys to jump into the conversation. So Danielle, tell us a little bit more about yourself, your business, and the services that you provide for your clients.
Yes. So I am actually from Columbus, Ohio. I'm actually born in Atlanta, but from Columbus, Ohio. And now I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. And so, as you mentioned earlier, I have been in the restaurant industry. So I moved out here for an opportunity in the restaurant industry, and that didn't work out. So then what I decided to do, literally a week later, I went in and registered Shorttakes. I was tired of seeing people promote events and, the day of, there was nothing to show for it. And so it was either like, a behind the scenes posts getting started, or it was reposts from other people, from the attendees that were there. And so in the world of social media, it's like, if you didn't capture it, did it even happen? And so that week later, when I was going in to register short takes, I actually had an idea for the business. I just had not had the opportunity to just like execute it. And when I tell you, once I launched the business and, because I'm in the DC area, there were events like every weekend.
Mhm.
It took off. So, I think just because of my retail background and my marketing background, it was definitely one of those like, okay, let's just get out here and make it happen. And so I have not looked back at all. And I think just from having experience in different industries, it definitely helped me to launch short takes.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, we kind of have like a similar background. So, and that is actually what kind of propelled me to start my business as well. Is I was in the restaurant industry before,
Okay.
and I had thought about doing an event, and I just was in that industry, and I was just so stressed out. I was
Hmm.
stressed. There wasn't a lot of harmonious relationship with the partners that I was working with, and I knew I wanted to do something else. And shortly after
Hmm.
that business closed down, I transitioned into what I'm doing now. So I think that,
Awesome.
sometimes you have to honor the space that you're in and take action. Because you said
Yes.
within a week of that happening, you're
Oh,
like, all right,
yes.
I'm gonna register my business.
Let's do it. And that's the thing. It's like, a lot of times we sit and hold ideas and,
Hmm.
it's like put feet on the idea. Like it won't start until you go. You know what I mean? So it was just one of those
Yeah.
things where I'm like, I had the idea, I had the concept. It was just, I literally had stuff, it was ready. I was like, let's make this official and go register the business. And then because of the fact that a lot of people don't know that they need me, I had to reach out to a lot of people to say, "Hey, I'm here," and because I had the time to do that, it worked out so seamlessly. And again, just being able to say like, "Now's the time, let's do this and let's go." And then over time, I've been able to add, as you mentioned earlier, text marketing, email marketing as well because of my background in marketing and because those are things that I absolutely love. I've been able to hone
Mhm.
in on those marketing channels for other clients as well.
Yeah, you brought up a really interesting point, and I definitely think it's so true. It's that people don't know that they need your service. So let's talk about it and break it down for people who might not really understand what, when you say behind the scenes, like what that is, or when you talk about real time capturing. Can you talk about what that is and unpack it a little bit for us?
Sure. So real time marketing is really just you're reacting in real or near real time. And so it's really about creating relevant messaging. And for me, it's all achieved via social channels. And so because of the fact that a lot of times with real time content, you can cover current events or trends or just be giving feedback. That's kind of all of the things that are kind of wrapped up into short takes. So what I do from a real-time content perspective, I'm working with clients too that might be speaking on a panel, they might be a keynote speaker, they might be an MC. I also have a client that's a DJ that really wants me to come and get content for her to repurpose as she's building her portfolio. I've had clients that are putting on huge events. And so it's not that I'm focused on just one person, I'm capturing content for the full event. So I'm looking at the vendors, I'm grabbing testimonials from the attendees, I'm looking at everyone that's speaking on stage or, having some kind of speaking opportunity. I'm going around and just capturing the essence of the event for my clients. So those are just different ways that I've been able to capture content, just to name a few.
Yeah, I love it. I recently had a conversation with an event videographer, right? And so
Okay.
those are some of the things that they do as well. And they might package it up into more so of an event recap video or maybe given like B roll or A roll or things like that. So, can you
Hmm.
talk about what is the differentiator between you, the things that you do, right? And
Yes.
what you might hire a videographer for?
Yes, no, I love this question. And this is something I really have to make sure that my clients are aware of. And so I am not to take away from a videographer or a photographer at all. Everything that I do, we're based off of capturing content for the phone, from the phone, excuse me. So that is the difference. And then with short takes, we're there in capturing content in real time. So that real time or near to real time, that content is being posted on social stories, and so it is meant to be truly within that moment or within, I mean, if even if it's a little delayed, it's meant to be capturing the moment right then, not that we're going to package it up and, put it together a B-roll for you to give to you the following week or 2 weeks later, like a videographer might. So
I was just
that
gonna
is
say,
the
yeah,
difference.
about 2 weeks later, you're gonna get that content.
Yes, yes, yes. And
Might
we're
even be
we're we're
longer.
Exactly. And so with what short takes, what we do is it's literally meant to be in that moment, capturing that real time content.
Hmm.
And it's everything is deployed right then. We give our clients have access to everything that we capture so that they can use further down the line. But it's truly all just it's from a phone. It is, we're capturing it and then posting it in that moment to social channels.
I love that because I recently worked on a 3-day event. And one of the things that we had initially spoken about on the pre production call was to
Hmm.
have someone there capturing content, right?
Okay. Hmm.
But from the pre production to the actual day of production, that didn't necessarily happen, right?
Okay.
Because it was reliant on the host or the speaker's assistant to do that,
Mm,
right? And then so many other things popped up throughout the event, like what happens with any typical event, there's a lot of fires
yes.
to put out or things that you might not have expected. And so she was at capacity. And so she wasn't
Hmm.
able to capture those moments, right?
Hmm.
But in terms of the strategy that we had in the pre production call, it was all right, if we're capturing the behind the scenes, and because this was a hybrid event, people might see on that first day, see what's happening at the event. They might get sucked in or inspired
Yes.
or learn something, from those clips that are seen. And then they might want to register for the virtual day 2 or day 3 so you could
Right.
get additional registration. So that was kind of the strategy, but it didn't
Yes.
necessarily happen. So that's
Yes.
why I think it's so important that what you're talking about is having that real time in the moment content so
Hmm.
people can see what's happening at the event.
Yes.
And so if it's a virtual thing, they can say, you know what, maybe I didn't register right away, but maybe I should register now, and maybe I should get the
Exactly.
replay. Hmm.
Exactly. And that's really what we want to create. We want to create a sense of FOMO. We want,
Hmm.
your community to be looking at the phone and say, oh my gosh, I have to get there. Or I couldn't
Absolutely.
make it this year. I have to make it to the next one. Exactly as you said, if it's a 3-day event, maybe they're watching on the first day, like, let me go register right now and I have to get there. So that's exactly what we want to create is that sense of FOMO. And I love the fact that you said that, a lot of people, I think the mindset is, oh, I'll just have my assistant do it, or oh, I'll just get someone else to
Exactly.
do it. And then in the moment, it's like they're getting pulled all different directions. Where if
Hmm.
with short takes, we come in and we're solely focused on that real time content. You don't have to worry about an assistant capturing content for you or a friend or anyone else from your team. That is our sole focus. And so that's why I love that you said that, because a lot of times I have had people come back and say, oh, well, I'll just have such and such grab the content. And we go to look and we're like, you didn't get anything.
You're like, where's the content?
Where's the content? Where is the content? I don't see it.
Free up the content, free up the content. Yeah, hire a professional to help support
Yes.
with those dedicated moments that you want to capture because it really makes a difference. And I have, on the flip side of that, like I have registered virtually, and which is why we ended up having this conversation because I have
Mhm.
registered virtually for an event. Once I saw what they were sharing online, I'm like, oh, this
Mhm.
person was there. Oh, I didn't even know that person was there. Or they were talking about this. So
Yes.
really think about when you're hosting your event, like how can you not only give FOMO in the moment for an event that you might want to do later on, but also FOMO in the moment so people can hop on and you can probably increase your revenue as a result. So
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
definitely something to consider.
And
So,
I will say this really quickly. Don't think just in-person events either. We have captured content for virtual events as well. So
oh,
there's a
that's a
way
good
to do
point.
it for both outlets, especially because there are people that are still having virtual events or hybrid events. And so it is still important to make sure that you're capturing content no matter if you're having an in-person event or a virtual event.
Yeah, for sure. Like I hired someone to actually help capture content, and that was the only thing for her to support
Mhm.
with because I realized that I was working on all these virtual events and we didn't have anything to show for it until the event was over.
Yes,
So I think that you bring up like a really good point. So it's not just in person, but virtually as well, and
absolutely.
really engaging people who might not have registered. So yeah,
Yes.
really, really good point. So let's talk about how we leverage this, right? So it might be the day of or the weekend, however long the event is. So after the event is over, how are we leveraging this content that has been created real time behind the scenes?
Yeah. Yeah, so after the event is over, a big part of it is you can slow drip the content out. Don't feel like you have to post everything right there in the moment. A lot of what we do with our clients, we want to give enough, but not too much to where if you weren't a paying attendee that, you can't see everything.
We're not giving you all the content.
We
We're
don't
not
give
giving all
you
the information for
everything.
free.
No, we don't want to give you everything. Some
Yeah.
people just streaming and streaming, and it's so no. We do a mixture of live content, so we'll stream live, and then there's also videos and photos. So
Mhm,
what we want to make sure for our clients is, first of all, we want to make sure that we have a very clear idea of what is to be captured, right? So we want to
mhm.
understand, if we're coming to you and we're asking you, what are your goals? Like, what do you possibly want to do as far as after your event to repurpose? So then we're putting together a shot list to make sure that we're very clear on what we're capturing. And so that way we know like what you will be repurposing the content for. So, it could be repurposed for social media. So you can still keep posting. You can do a reel, you can continue to add to your stories or your feed. If you have an email list, you can repurpose the content for your email list. If you have a text list, you can send the content out to your text list as well and community. Maybe you need to put something together and it was a speaking engagement that you had, and you need to now take that content and put something together for a future speaking opportunity or a media kit. Like there's really a lot of different things that
The
you can use
opportunities
the
are
content
endless.
for. Mhm.
Yeah.
It really just depends on what you need. I mean, even if you're updating your website, like the content can be used for that as well and, put together into a video. Like, I mean, I have one client, all she wants is video because she's like, that's where
Mm.
it's at. I still will capture some photos just for her, like, still images or cover images. But I mean, for the most part, she's all video. But again, because she knows that she wants to repurpose it for reels and for opportunities down the line.
Yeah, so it's really about assessing and being intentional with what your goal
Hmm.
is, because from there, then you'll be able to put together that shot list like you talked about, then curate the content based on whatever the client's goals are, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So what are the strategies then? Because you said, listen, we're not going to give you all of the information. You're just going to get tidbits of the information just to kind of whet your palate and make
Yes.
you want to attend the next event. So what strategies are you using to ensure that that happens and to make it
Yeah.
engaging as well?
Yes. So what we do, we really want to take our clients' community on an experience, take them through an
Mhm.
experience. And so everything that we do is truly unique to the client. So again, like I said, we're coming into it understanding the goal, understanding the event or the speaking opportunity before we even get started with the shot list. And so the way that we also can make that experience feel different is with branded templates. And so a lot of what I offer are creating custom templates for my clients, and then we'll also just pull in different things. So if we're on Instagram, there's a lot of things that are already on Instagram that you can pull in to make your stories and your content engaging. So will use the poll, we'll use the question box, we'll use the emoji slider. So there's this different things that you can do where there's like points in the stories that have to where your users have I'm sorry users I'm so used to saying users, where your community has to stop
Yeah.
and take a moment to answer a question or respond to a question. And that helps break up the stories quite a bit. And so that's how we do well with engagement.
That is such a good strategy because whenever I post stories, I'm just throwing up the video or
Uh-huh.
throwing up a picture. Maybe I might put some music on it, but that's
Hmm.
about it. But to think about, all right, what are some polls or maybe stickers or things that really have people stay longer on your content or engaging with your content? I think that's gold right there for
Yes, I'm
sure.
glad that you mentioned stickers too, because that is also a service that is offered. So we'll design custom Giphy stickers for clients. And so I have one
Nice.
client where we've designed her stickers a long time ago, and we just captured content for her a few months ago. So that was even fun to pull in her own custom stickers to her stories
Mm.
because they're searchable on Instagram and Facebook. And so, that is another option as well, just to kind of keep things engaging.
Yeah, I love that, and even for your event, like, you could have, like, a branded sticker, as you're talking about, like, a
Mhm,
branded sticker for your event, so everybody who's
mhm.
posting, they're using that sticker. Is there a way to track that, track the usage for that, or how many people are actually using it or engaging with it?
Yes, you can see views through Giphy.
Ooh, okay,
Yes.
alright, so then you
Mhm.
can
So that
see,
is
like,
fun to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Okay,
Mhm.
that's that. I love that. Even making it a more unique experience for people who attend the event and people who are engaging with the content as well. Oh, love it,
Exactly.
love it, love it. Okay. And then you also said that you do templates too. So when you're talking about templates, are you talking about like something that they could just drop the video in, the photo in? Can you talk a little bit more about how you templatize some of the work that you're doing?
Sure. So, for example, if you are hosting an event, what we would do is come in and have like we would create branded templates for your event. And so that means like myself or my team, we're using those branded templates within your stories. And so it might be a branded template with a photo layered over it, or a video, or maybe we use a branded template and that's where we're putting the question box or the poll over it. So it's nice to have those pops kind of along the way, but they are definitely designed by my team. And so we use those quite often
Yeah,
in
and it makes it
stories
more
and posters.
dynamic too,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I mean, we always get great feedback on those because it is so different. It's not like, just photos back to back or videos back to back, but there's these pops again, just because we want to create an experience. There's just these moments where, we can truly offer something very different in stories.
Yeah, one of the things I'm thinking about for myself is how can I, tell a story through stories, right? Because
Mhm.
like I said, I'll just pop up a picture, I'll pop up a video, if I'm somewhere,
Mhm.
but really looking at how people are creating content right now, it's really,
Yes.
how do you tell that story? How do you bring people along on that journey? And
Mhm.
how do you really engage them beyond just, static post or something
Mhm.
like that? So
Absolutely.
the other thing you said that you kind of organize all these things, these pictures, these videos, these templates. Like what content management system are you using? Because for me on my phone, when I capture content, I have like 19,000 videos and photos, and sometimes I'm thinking about posting something and I have to scroll through this huge log of everything that I have. So how do you help your clients manage the content that you capture, and what type of system are you using?
Yes, it sounds like you might need the albums within your your phone just to separate everything
I do,
out.
I do.
Yes.
I thought about that
Yes.
recently. I was like, you need to sit down, spend a couple hours and just go through and put them in albums so it's easier for me to find. But
Yes.
when you've been janky for so long, it's like to clean it up, it's gonna take some time. So pray
It
for me,
will.
y'all.
Yes, absolutely. We'll
Pray
check
for
back
me.
on you in like 2 to 3
Yes,
months.
yes, yes, yes. Check on me.
I'll check on you. But so for us, for management, because everything's captured in the phone, it's like capture it, get it out the phone. Because it does become a lot once we have multiple clients, and because there's multiple people capturing content from our team, we have to have one place. And so I love Google Workspace. So, that's an opportunity to host, photos and videos. There's also Dropbox as well. Anything that's like design related can be, done and held in Canva. And then just from like a management or editing, from an editing perspective, there's like the video editors. So like InShot is one of my favorites to use. And so that we might be, kind of editing photos and videos through that platform. But for the most part, we just make sure that everything is like housed in one place. And then, it's definitely like separated out by event, because to what you just said, in the event that I need to find something, I'm like, I know the event. It's like, I don't want to have to scroll. I want to,
Yeah.
shoot the content, deliver it, and then get it out the phone.
Yeah, yeah, and then for your clients, at least they could go in and be like, "All right, well, this event, here's all the information that I needed." So if they wanted to
Exactly.
repurpose it or use it for something else, then it's easy for them to find.
Exactly.
So we talked about, ways in which you can repurpose that content. And then I had another question about just even repurposing the content is how do you even how do you even measure success from what you're doing, right? So are you seeing when you do these behind the scene capture or real time content capture, are you seeing additional followers, more reach as a result? Like what are some ways that you're measuring the success?
Exactly what you just said. And so there's a lot of things, because we are in real time and working with the client to make sure that, usually if it's like a panel or speaking engagement, there's opportunities to say, follow me right now on, give your handle. And then we notice that there's people coming in that way.
Mm,
There's also opportunities where from an engagement perspective, if we're tagging a location, or there's just, there's different things and strategies as far as like engagement and measuring success. I think also for us to do those things that we talked about as far as like question stickers and, polls within the stories, like that's a great way for us to kind of see like who's engaging with the content. Are they just kind of looking quickly? Are they, clicking on things? If we put a link, are they clicking on the link? So there's just different things that we can make sure from an engagement perspective that everything's kind of tying back to our goals. And then I think from the beginning too, it's very important to make sure those goals are established. Is it a matter of, do we want signups to something? Like, do we want to make sure that at the end of this, we're giving an offer for the next event for next year? And we're looking to see how many people clicked on the link. Do we want to make sure that we're growing the list while we're in this space and at this event? So there's things that we're talking about around that. I mean, so like it is
Yeah.
different, I think, for each client in each event, but there are ways to just say like, okay, here's our goal. And maybe it's just, I just want to share it, like, let's just kind
Mm.
of see what happens. I just want to share it and see how many people are my stories. And then we're also making sure as well that if there is something posted on the feed, which usually there's something like our clients will post to the feed and direct them to their stories, because then that's a great way also to say like, hey, like we're giving you enough in our feed, but
Mhm.
go to the stories to check out what happened at the event as
Yeah,
well.
that's
So even just kind of seeing that happen, that is another way to kind of measure what our efforts and what we're doing.
Yeah, I love when people do that because it kind of takes you on a journey too, right? You
Hmm.
see the static poster or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, go check out my stories if you want to see like the full behind the scenes, and then
Hmm.
you get a chance to really be a little bit more engaged with whatever is happening. So that's
Hmm.
a really good strategy. So I hope that you guys are thinking about how you can utilize social media. And I liked what you talked about with the polls too. So you can see how many people are actually engaging with the poll or the stickers.
Hmm.
So you also have a chance to have metrics and data and see and are you able to see who actually responded to the polls, right? I don't think I've used polls before, but you're able to see who
You
the
can
person
see.
is, or you're just in a number.
Yes, and so I think even to that point, if there's somebody, if you're like, "Hey, do you want more information about, next year's event?" and the person clicks yes, you can follow up with them. So
Mhm.
there's different ways that you can use, again, just engagement tactics to follow up with your community.
Yeah, and it's almost like you having that like micro yes, like do you want to learn more about the event next year? And they're like, and it might be an easy thing for them to just tap it, but then
Mhm.
that gives you a chance to know, all right, this person is interested. Let me go ahead and send them a link to the event. Maybe they could join the wait
Right.
list or something like that. You can continue to engage them further or get their email address if they're not on your email list. So
Mhm.
I love that. I love that tactic. That's a really good strategy. So, what are some of the challenges that you experience when you're at this event or you're capturing real time content? What are some of the challenges that you've experienced?
Yes, I have learned to be very agile over the years.
I can
Um,
imagine because there's so much happening.
so much happening.
Uh
So
huh.
much happening. So I would say sometimes things do not go as planned.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things are not on schedule and you have to adjust quickly and figure out, next steps.
Mm.
Sometimes we may not always get the things that are on the shot list because of changes in the program. As an example, one of the things we were supposed to capture at this outdoor event was the food truck. The food truck showed up after our call time or after our time was over. We don't know where the food truck was. But that was just one of the
The
things
food
that
truck
was
is still
like,
out there in the ethers right now.
we don't know where the food truck is. I mean, if it, and there's times where we will work with the client, to make sure
Right.
that we can capture certain things. But I think I say all that to say, like, some things will just not go as planned. And so we
Right.
have to figure out, okay, well, if the goal was to capture a food truck and people, kind of eating and engaging, maybe we can kind of do that in a different way and capture more people mingling, or maybe there were the food from something else. We can kind of still get that same point across, but not obviously tying back to that direct shot. So I think, a lot of times we have to be agile, okay with change. There's times where maybe we're not able to grab an attendee to get feedback from that attendee before the event is over. So yeah, there's just different things that can come up, with the client. Maybe the client in the moment is just like, what, like scratch this. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I need to add this. Like we had a client recently that was pulled for an interview. We didn't know that she was going to get pulled for an interview. So we all had to kind of adjust. And we're like, okay, now she's going for this interview, and we had to switch gears and capture content for that moment. So, again, just like making sure that we have a couple different things, as far as like our phones and the lighting might be off, like that could be a huge challenge. So making sure we've got the right equipment, several different like tripods and just different things like that, so that, we can capture content from different angles. And so, even that, like sometimes not even seeing the venue ahead of time, like that's tough, because it's like, okay, well, where can we put ourselves without being in the way? But our goal is to capture content for the client. And you've got this big room, so you can't be a distraction also. So, there's just times where you kind of just have to like adjust and be okay. And, there's times where you just, hey, I got to get this content, so we're going to work it out.
Whatever I got to do.
I'm going to do what I got to do to get this content. Okay.
Exactly. And so as you were talking, I could see it from two different perspectives, right? Because you were saying that you have clients who might attend events, you're capturing content for them, but you're also capturing content for events, right? So how does that work though? Let's say on the side of you're just capturing the content for that particular speaker. How does that work in the overall setting of the event? Like, do you have a conversation with the event host? Like, is it just like understood that you're part of this particular speaker's team? Like, how do you kind of navigate that all?
Yeah, usually for the most part, my clients will notify someone that, they have a team member there that is capturing content. It might be in the moment. It might be ahead of time, especially if it's a ticketed event. The client will let someone know ahead of time, like, hey, I have someone from my team that will be joining me, because they have to make sure that, we're ticketed as well to get access into the event. So yeah, I mean, I've never had a problem with being able to attend an event on behalf of, my client and being there to capture content. I don't think any of us have. No. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's pretty smooth sailing. I think just, again, just trying to figure out where not to be in the way. It's like, can I put my tripod here?
Where are we going to
be? Right?
And sometimes the lighting, like you said too, could be a challenge, right? Because sometimes within these events, like it's very moody, with the lighting. Yes. And so to capture this content, you got to have some light but also have lighting that's not going to be distracting to whatever is already happening in the room,
Exactly.
So I love it. So let's talk about, for people who might not be able to afford your services right now, but these are some things that they need to be thinking about when they host their event, or maybe they're a speaker. What can they do in the meantime, in between time?
Well, we of course would love for you to reach out to Shorttakes, and we will travel.
Oh, love it. Okay.
For sure. Yes, absolutely. And we are expanding the team this year as well. So that would be the first thing.
Congratulations.
However, thank you. However, just keeping the benefits in mind, like, being able to connect with your audience, building trust, documenting the experience, taking your community behind the scenes, creating content that becomes shareable, as well, as a huge benefit. And then, of course, like we talked about, being able to repurpose. So I think in all of that, whether it's you having a tripod that you use to capture content, and, that is what is set up and rolling literally as you might be speaking, you can give a trusted person, your phone to capture content as well. I think the key thing with that is just being very specific. Clean your phone off. Clean off the lens. Clean the lens. I cannot tell you how many videos I have seen. And I'm like,
it's blurry.
It is blurred. Clean your lens, please.
Listen, top tip right here. Before you do anything,
go ahead. Nothing else. Clean your lens. But no, like, having just the proper, things that you'll need. So having, a very clear camera, whether, on your phone, or even if it is an actual camera, like I mentioned, a tripod, you can always set up a tripod and just record content, you know, getting information from, maybe there is a videographer that's there, maybe you don't have someone that can come with you, and so you're working, maybe you can work with the event host, or a photographer, a videographer, if you know ahead of time, to help you capture content to be able to repost as well. Or if there's a trusted person, I've seen people literally hand their phone to someone in the audience and they're like, can you capture me, can you get some like video of me on stage? I've seen that as well.
Or they might have their kids.
Or their
Their
kids, but
kids will be
just
capturing the content.
yes, I would say instead of that, so again, because you want good, we're talking about good quality videos
Right.
and photos. Not to say your child cannot, but I'm just saying, just be mindful of, I mean, there's just a lot of times I see things and there's movement or there's
Mhm,
swaying or you pick
mhm.
up all these things
It's
behind
not
you,
stable.
like
Mhm,
noise, and it's not stable. So just, I'd rather you invest in a good tripod, and you can even have somebody behind the phone in the tripod, just making sure everything is okay, right? But
mhm.
just let the phone be on the tripod and just capture the
Yeah.
content, and if there's movement that that is being picked up as well. But just make sure your sound quality is up to par, make sure the lighting is good, and that your phone is stable and your lens is clear. Those would
Yeah,
be
I
my
think that's like
tips.
yeah, you know what? It's like do make it work with whatever you have, right? So you might not have a team, the short takes team, but you can at least get video of you being on stage or are you interacting with people, having that tripod there to at least repurpose the content later on.
Mhm,
And then, when you're ready and you have the budget to, then you hire someone to help support you. And then now you can have your behind the scenes footage or your real time footage be a lot
mhm,
more dynamic than
mhm.
it would be possible when you're doing it on your own
Yeah.
or just asking someone on the fly.
Yeah, and I will say too, just in addition to that, I love that you just said back behind the scenes, because a lot of times we think just on stage, but capture the moments of you coming into an event, capture you engaging with, attendees, capture you talking to other, maybe panelists or the event host. But think
Mm,
about just different moments, a day in the life type of mindset where, you're just showing different aspects, because I think it really does. Again, like when I was talking about the benefits of capturing content, like it just helps to document the experience, and then it really helps you to connect with your audience, because it's not just like one thing, but you're really giving them access into what you're doing and being able to show just a different dynamic. Like, okay, speaking engagement, great. And just think about, like, also again thinking about big picture, that will look great on a reel where you're showing like from the start to finish of this event or speaking engagement, and from you walking in or getting ready for that event all the way through to the actual event to after, and you're now engaging with people. So just again, like thinking about all of that type of content and the experience that you might want for your community, because then again, if you want to take it and put it together in for a b-roll or to use on your website, or recap in an email, now you've got all of the content from the start of your day to the end of the event.
oh, that's so good. That's so good. And then the final question, as you were talking, I started thinking about that experience, right? And even user generated content. So let's say you're working with someone or it's at an event, but you have your shot list that you're working with, right?
Mhm.
What happens when, other attendees, are tagging? Are you adding their stories within the stories that you're capturing, or do you wait until you're done with your
Oh, I love this
experience that
question.
you're creating, and then you add their
I
stuff in.
I wait. I love this
Okay,
question.
okay.
I wait because again, I am really big on, and I mean, I can share with you later, but I am very big on creating this experience, and then it's like, let's get everyone else's excitement in there as well. So I've literally had where someone has like an assistant or another, like a social media manager. I've literally had where we're in the client stories, and then somebody from the team will like do a reshare, and I'm like, excuse me, hi, can you
You're like, "Oh, no, 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 no,
hey,
no."
can you wait? You can repost your heart's desire after we are done and out. So now I have it actually like listed as part of the contract. Like Once
Let
we're
me do my
done
work
and we
and
give
then
you like we're clear, we're out of your account, then you can go in and do all of the reposts because people still want to see that, you're sharing and that, if they tagged you, they still want to see themselves like in your stories and again, I love that because we're not able to always capture every angle and
Mhm.
especially if there's like breakout rooms and all these different things going on. It's great to be able to share, repost attendees content that they captured and tagged you in because they have a completely different perspective. So I love the reposts and reshares. It's just once we're out, we post it.
You're like, my job here is done. Go ahead,
Yes,
do
have
what needs
at
to be done.
have fun. We're
I
done.
love it. I
We're out.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yes,
Well,
but
thank
definitely
you so
repost
much.
and reshare from your attendees. It means a lot, and again, from an engagement perspective, it makes them want to stay tapped in with you because they see that like, okay, you've reshared their content.
Yeah, but tell the story first is what I
Yes.
hear. Tell the
Yes.
story and then, added everything else after that.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Before we close out, though, I want to ask you what's one last gem that you want to leave people with? It could be something that we haven't discussed, it could be something that's action related, and it doesn't even have to be related to business. It could just be life in general. What's one last gem?
Just go. Just do it. Just do it. Like again, I kind of touched on this at the beginning. A lot of times we're sitting on ideas. The world needs what you have, and every single thing that you need is inside of you already. So just start. Like just go.
Just do it, y'all. Just do it.
Just do it.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for being here with me
You're
today. I hope you
welcome.
guys enjoyed that conversation. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe to the Event Gems podcast. Until next time, I hope you caught those gems. Now, let's fly.